Welcome back to Yang Daily. I'll be your host, Alex Cheney, bringing you all the Yang news you need to live your life right. For today's episode, we have a bold healthcare initiative in California, a win for election reform in Nevada, a lot of media news, and a fun Yang Gang creation. Let's dive in. Quick shout out to our Tier 3 patrons, Shay Meehan and Nathan Stankowski, as well as all our other patrons. You keep us all informed and engaged. If any of you out there want to join these advocates of humanity first and independent journalism, head on over to patreon.com/yangdaily. It would only take a couple of bucks a month from each listener to keep this podcast and community going and growing into the future. Now on to the news. So starting off with good news for democracy reform in Nevada, democracy reformists have won a court case victory in their effort to change Nevada elections to be top 5 jungle primaries and ranked choice general elections. Exactly the system that Forward Party and Yang have been advocating. The Institute for Political Innovation has brought a citizens' initiative to make these changes to the state constitution. It was challenged in court by operatives of the Democratic Party, certainly a misnomer in this case, on a technicality, but the judge ruled in favor of the initiative. This means it can move forward and hopefully appear on the ballot and be approved by Nevadans. It would be an early entrant to a currently very small club of states using an election system that is not biased toward the duopoly. Check with Fair Vote, Represent Us, or other resources to see if your state has a similar initiative, and if not, help start one. Don't wait for your representatives to do it for you. Their incentives are not aligned with yours on this, hence the need for the change in the first place. This is how citizens can get around a Congress that puts their own interests before their constituents. Meanwhile, over in California, Democrats are working to revive a plan for potentially the first universal healthcare system in the U.S. I have not read through the bill, just the synopsis, but it claims to be a single-payer system, meaning private insurance would not be allowed to compete on any services provided under the government plan. Overall, it sounds very similar to the federal Medicare for All bill. It was defeated last time around because it did not have an attached means of funding. This time, a second bill would raise taxes on businesses and individuals making over $150 grand annually, and both bills would have to pass for either to take effect. Because it amends the state constitution, it would require a 2/3 majority of both houses, as well as approval by voters. The healthcare bill must pass the state assembly by the end of the month, while the deadline for the tax bill is months away. It'll certainly be interesting to watch. I'm not sold on the idea of prohibiting competition by private insurance, but a public option is absolutely needed, as every other industrialized country has long ago realized. Insurance right now is a complex, inefficient, profiteering, exploitative mess. My girlfriend was just telling me the other night that she hasn't had a time in her life when health insurance wasn't dictating her decisions, as she had to switch jobs, schools, etc. to try and meet requirements for health care coverage. Even if you have it, you have to wade through a maze of copays, premiums, co-insurance, covered and uncovered services, in and out of network doctors and hospitals, etc. A system where everything is covered everywhere and where cost is no barrier would be a giant anchor off of everyone's back. Health is just not an appropriate commodity for a free market economy. We figured this out with other emergency services and education. How long will this bit take? Hopefully not long, because it is costing lives. In media news, Yang put out a short essay on the January 6th insurrection. It's nothing you haven't already heard, just a restating of the urgent need for democracy reform, lest the insurrection or worse happen again. Jimmy Carter also wrote another piece on the event, warning that anti-democratic extremists have co-opted the Republican Party and are eroding the foundation of democracy with misinformation. According to polls, Carter is the most trusted politician in the U.S., so maybe his words can sway some who are on the fence, though I'd imagine the lines are fairly well drawn at this point. Convincing anyone in such a polarized environment is difficult. Tangle had an interview with Andrew about Forward Party and the future of politics. Yang will be joining a Fair Vote webinar this Monday, January 10th at 5 p.m. Eastern to talk election reform. He is a board member now, after all. He also will be joining the Politics for the People book club January 12th at 3 p.m. Eastern. And to my great surprise, Andrew also went on Glenn Beck's podcast for an interview to talk democracy reform. Not that I'm surprised Yang would accept, just surprised that he got invited, and I don't know, it's just surreal to see him get any serious consideration from extremist mouthpieces. It's good though. Those are the people who we most need to reach. Links to all of that in the description. Scott gave a shout out to one of his favorite UBI documentaries, that of a trial in Uganda, If you're looking for a good demo of basic income in action, I'm sure it's a great resource. Link below. And speaking of Santons, he just announced his MMT booklet has hit and retained the title of #1 new release in public finance on Amazon. Now, I'm sure that's a pretty niche genre, but it's still very cool. Thanks to all of you who helped put it there. A well-deserved honor for a quality book and a quality human. You can also get a signed copy on his Patreon. Finally, Evelyn and Andrew tweeted out some photos of amazing rugs that JD Chang made for them out of his awesome caricatures. Apparently, the Yangs use them in the kids' playroom, which prompted Andrew to joke that the kids walk all over them. They are really adorable, and I know a lot of Yang Gang who would love to buy them up if available. Check it out at the link in the description. And that'll do it for today's Yang Daily. Bookmark and share the Nevada Top 5 Initiative, the California Single Payer Bill, and the UBI documentary. Flood Congress with calls, tweets, faxes, and letters using the easy volunteer contacts below. If you need help, consult the Income Movement Aid Database, the Mission Asset Fund, or United Way. And don't forget to Yang Daily.